Hello, my name is Margaret Adele, and no, I don't really know what I was going for in the thumbnail. I just felt like all of my thumbnails were looking similarly lately. So here we are. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 list of oddly specific tropes. So, you have your general tropes like enemies to lovers or found family, but I am talking much more nitpicky, very specific moments that tend to happen in very pivotal times of a story and how much I love them regardless of how many times they occur. So let's jump right in no particular ranking. Number 1 is when a chapter ends with a character saying, "I have a plan." This is a beautiful moment because everyone knows in a story, if they lay out the plan in the text, if you have two characters discussing the plan, you know that plan's going to go wrong. They're not going to lay out the plan for you and then have it work. You always know that if the plan isn't laid out, is hidden, is only hinted at, that's the one that's going to work. And the beauty of this trope is that it goes both ways. You could have the protagonist saying it, and you realize that they finally know what they need to do to beat the bad guy and take them down. Or it could be the bad guy saying it, and you know that whatever is going to happen next in that next chapter is going to be bloody and devastating. And regardless, there's always tension. What's the plan to defeat the bad guy? Or, oh crap, what's the bad guy gonna do? And yes, I'm just using the phrase bad guy in the colloquial sense. I do stan female villains. But regardless, I love this because whether or not it's the protagonist or the antagonist saying it, you know that whatever is coming next in that next chapter is going to be good. My second favorite trope is one that people have actually talked about at length, and this is the moment when our group of heroes is sitting around and they've realized that the big thing needs to be done, taking down the bad guy, going into the fight, whatever it is. They realize that it needs to be done, and one by one they agree that they will join the fight to do it. And almost everyone has agreed, except for that one. Maybe they're stoic, or maybe they're just lighthearted, or maybe they weren't really as invested in the cause before, and everyone's looking at them. And they just give a sardonic laugh and say, well, we're all gonna die, let's do it. That moment where it's both character development for that character, showing that they do in fact care, they will in fact fight for the cause, and it means that what's coming next is going to amp up the conflict. It's a very well-known moment. There have been memes made about it. I don't care. I still love it with every fiber of my being. Number 3 is a trope that is usually done in medieval or maybe sometimes Regency romances, and that is the character in a dress who is walking so purposefully that her dress is swirling around her legs, the skirts are moving, and her heels are clicking on the floor. And yes, I am using feminine pronouns because most of the time this is a female. There might be some non-binary characters. I've yet to see a man in this, but I would accept that. Alternatively, robes swirling around their legs would also be acceptable, but just that I am going to do the thing movement towards wherever is nice, and I love it. Number 4 is that moment when a character sarcastically quips and gets no reaction. In professional wrestling, they call this no-selling, and it's my absolute favorite. You have character A that's making all these quips and puns and stuff, and character B that just sitting there love it. It's my favorite. Because, let's be honest, in real life, the more puns you make, the more of you get. You don't get a repartee of sarcastic quips a la Spider-Man. And I love this because it also shows that you, sarcastic quipper, are not actually as smart as you think you are, and it adds to the hilarity to me. And I know I might be the only one in this, but after a while, I get tired of all the sarcastic quips, and I want the quipper to be put in their place. Oddly specific trope number 5 is one that, again, other people also love and have commented on before, but it's one of my favorites. And this is the moment in a slow burn romance where the two characters are aware of each other, and maybe they realize how incredibly attractive the other person is, and that, wow, they're a lot of fun to be around, and things are growing there, they're going in that direction, and then, bam, a character is in danger. Maybe they're kidnapped, maybe they're laying on the ground with a sword pointed at their throat, whatever it is. and character 2 is like, and then out of nowhere, they don't understand. They're suddenly terrified or furious, or they have some big emotion because character is in danger. But they don't even understand why they're so terrified or furious that this character is in danger. They just know that they have to save them. I love this trope. I love this trope. This is usually the pivotal moment in a slow burn romance where the character realizes, I have feelings. And it is the reason that I hate insta-love, because insta-love robs you of this trope. Only slow burns can have this trope, because it's better if the character doesn't really realize why they are scared / terrified / ready to go to war over their other characters' like danger. It needs to happen, and I will go to my grave stating that slow burn is always better than insta-love. Oddly specific trope number 6 is one that is probably most prevalent in anime, which is strange because I don't watch a lot of anime, but I love this trope. And this is when our protagonist is going to battle and they look like they're all alone, and maybe the villain is taunting them for being alone, or they feel like they genuinely can't do whatever the thing is they must do. And then a friend steps up beside them, and another friend, and suddenly they realize that their found family, because now they realize that it is a found family, surrounds them and supports them and says, you can do the thing. I love those moments of when the character feels so alone, and through one great big display of support and solidarity, they realize they're not alone. Their family / found family / comrades are there, and they can do that thing. Again, a pivotal moment in a lot of things, and especially in a lot of anime where like 90% of your heroes are fueled by love / friendship / loyalty. Love it. And it's probably the reason I should probably watch more anime, because I just love it so much. Trope number 7 is one that I love specifically because of the genres that it's in. This is a trope usually in like a flintlock fantasy or a military sci-fi. And this is a trope of the officers being very concerned about the men under their command. Now, you kind of almost have to do this if you have a point of view character that is an officer in the military. You can't really be like, yeah, I don't give a shit about those grunts. Like, they have to show their dedication to the cause and to the men or women underneath them, and how it genuinely saddens them that there has to be any casualties in battle, and they feel responsible for every casualty that there is, and it weighs heavily on them. It's what kind of shows more of the emotions in war. And the thing is that it specifically has to be in like a flintlock fantasy where there's specific war settings, or in like a military sci-fi, because I tend to not see this trope as much in other type battle sequences, especially in like the medieval, or what we call medieval storylines, because I never see like knights and kings getting as worried as like corporals and captains and sergeants in more of the military focused stories. And that's my thing. Like, you should at least admit that there is a cost to a battle, even when it is won. And this is probably a trope that not a lot of people have gotten into, but it is genuinely one of my favorites. Trope number 8 is that first moment when we have a character on the antagonist side. The first moment they realize, they see the extent of their actions and the harm they've caused. And you can see the first glimmer that a redemption arc is possible. I think this would probably be the best example I can think of is that moment in Star Wars when Finn, before he actually switches to the light side, gets the 3 like red streaks down his mask, and you realize that he's not into this, he doesn't want to do this, like that kind of thing. Now, the one I'm talking about is a little more gradual than that, because it's not a, oh crap, I realize this is wrong, I'm snapped out of it and I'm on a good guy now. But the one where it's like, maybe they finally realize that what they did is killing people, or the empire they serve isn't as good as they thought it was, or maybe they, a child of the tyrant king, and the tyrant king finally does something evil enough to wake them up. It doesn't need to be an instant redemption. It just needs to be the glimmer that a redemption arc has begun, because I love redemption arcs. I love second chances, and I love people coming out the other side for the better. And so this moment when you realize that the story has a redemption arc is one of my favorites. Number 9, let's take it back. Let's get a little bit more lighthearted. And this is The trope where the adorable soft boy, maybe he's a little bit naive, accidentally says something and only realizes after the fact that it could be a double entendre. Like, maybe he was playing around with basketballs and he looks at the next door neighbor girl and he says, hey, I've got some balls if you want them. And then he realizes what he just said. Like, that moment where the adorable soft boy is like stammering over his words. That's not what I meant. Like, love those. Love that vulnerability, especially in male characters. For me, it's always a lot more impactful when it's a male character than a female character, only because I'm kind of getting sick and tired of women always being portrayed as being vulnerable. So, soft boys are the way to go. And number 10, my last oddly specific trope, is when a character has a nickname, but only one person is allowed to call them by that nickname, no one else. The best example of this would probably be Bones from Bones, when Booth is the only person that's allowed to call her that, or the only person that ever called her that, and it's kind of his nickname specifically, that kind of thing. Because it is a great sign of affection and a close relationship that they have this one name that is specifically theirs and no one else's. And it usually leads to some kind of romantic connection, or at the very least, a very, very, very close platonic friendship. And again, I love those relationships. It usually takes place within a found family, again, but that just, oh, I love it so much. Especially when, like, they snap and say, like, oh, only he's or only she's allowed to call me that. Only they're allowed to call me that. Like, love it. So good. It's probably maybe not my ultimate favorite, but up there. And that's it. My list of very oddly specific tropes that pop up and always make me smile. Do you have any oddly specific moments in books that you've noticed happening again and again, but you just love them regardless of how many times you see them? Please let me know in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff I'm supposed to say as a YouTuber or whatever. And with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.